My name is Veronica, my pronouns are she, they, and I am a fourth year at Tufts University, so I have one more week of classes. I'm in a band called Melt. I am currently the only long-distance member. They are all in New York. I was the last one to graduate college. Actually, we have one more, but he is at Columbia, so he's with the rest of them. And we played our last show of my college career 2 weekends ago in Burlington, and it was my 50th show with them during college. And this fall we were on tour, like our first real tour, so I was taking classes Monday through Wednesday. I was taking 6 classes Monday through Wednesday because I got concussed a couple years ago, so I'm trying to rack in those credits. And then I'd be on the road from Thursday to Sunday. So it was a really wild semester of my first tour. In the midst of COVID, I think our immune systems were all shot, so we were perpetually ill the whole tour. I was shuttling back and forth. I would get back to my off-campus house and kind of sit on my bed and be like, okay, I'm here again, and snap into school mode, do my homework. And I think that for the first half of the tour, my mentality was really, this is a disaster. Like, my everything was getting in last minute. I was taking group project calls from the back of a moving vehicle and, couldn't unmute myself to contribute in any meaningful way. And I felt like I was being dragged by the back of a bus and, couldn't get my footing. And then I took this wonderful film class at the SMFA, and the only thing I had time to do for my final was to make a tour doc. And in the process of filming each tour stop and looking back at the footage, my mindset totally shifted to, this is the best thing that has ever happened to me. And I think now, looking back at my college experience, it was definitely rocky at times. I'm running essentially a small business with Melt, and I've been on the road, and I think I've felt like a failure here sometimes because I'm constantly scrambling to get my work done and to go to social things. And now as I enter this last week of school and this last month of school, I think I just look back on it with so much gratitude. I cannot believe that I got to get an amazing education here, meet the most wonderful people, I'm convinced, on the face of the earth, and play 50 shows with this wonderful project, which will be my, what I'm doing after college. So yeah, it's just, something's happened in these last few weeks. I'm getting nostalgic. Melt started 5 years ago. I think our first single, we're coming up on the 5-year anniversary of our first single, which is a song called Sour Candy, which was the first song we ever wrote together that got picked up on Reddit. And we only recorded it because we won a high school battle of the bands that gave us some cash, and we were like, we're going to the studio, and recorded the first song we'd ever written. And it got some traction on Reddit, and we thought we should probably put this on Spotify. At that point, it was only a YouTube video. And so our journey to Melt was completely unintentional, and I think I wouldn't do anything differently, but if I were starting a band now, I think I would go into it with a lot more intention. I would think, how is everyone going to work together? What are our job descriptions? How are we going to get from place A to B? But we were high schoolers who just kind of got this stroke of luck and wanted to hold on to it. And so I think our interpersonal relationships, they've only gone up through the years as we've gotten our footing, because it was a really chaotic start. And we've really all grown up together. So I think something we've had to learn is Sour Candy was in this kind of soul pop world, but we're all changing so much, and our tastes have changed so much, and we know that we can't be fulfilled as artists unless we let ourselves evolve like that. And I think there's sometimes a lot of pressure to hang on to whatever nugget kind of made that song stick. And I think we've increasingly done a better job of liberating ourselves to follow wherever our interests are taking us at any given moment. Our first EP was way more in the indie lane, and I think we're just trusting that because it's the 5 of us, it's Melt, not because it's slated into any genre. But yeah, the friendships are core to Melt. Like, it's really, that's what started it. Lucas, who plays the bass, said a really beautiful thing the other day, which is that to be a musician, you're exercising empathetic pathways, and you're envisioning a future, or you're putting into words an emotion or an interaction, and those pathways are so similar to the ones that we exercise when we, imagine a collective future for society, for a community, and engage in activism and advocacy. And so, it's nothing novel that musicians have always been activists and advocates, and I love that he put it that way, because I do think that to be a musician is to operate in this language of love, and when we're moving city to city, we're with, a couple hundred new people every night, and for an hour and a half we get to form a community with them that has rules and norms, and we're all looking out for one another, we're wearing our masks, we're dancing and crying in front of strangers, and I've found that to be a uniquely, those people in the audience by the end of the night, and us on stage, are uniquely primed to envision a collective path together and take action, because I think we have put in the work all night to build a community where our guards are down. And so here, I studied international relations. I'm really passionate about anti-nuclear violence work, and we've worked with Headcount, which is a voter registration org, but it's always felt one and the same to me. And I think when I came to college, I had a feeling that I had to either choose music or go to college. Like, I had to either get internships in IR and start blazing my path in that direction, or follow my music and prioritize that. And that brought me so much stress for the first few years of my college experience, and I'm ending it with a completely flipped notion of that, which is just that, like, I am who I am. I study IR because it's interesting to me, and music is just one way to express yourself, and to get whatever internship you're going to get, or to study IR, to write a paper, is another way of expressing yourself. And so, no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to be finding different ways to speak my mind. And I think, I'm really against that idea of stratifying our interests in that way. I think we are all of those things, and I feel really lucky that I've found a way to incorporate both of those interests in a really exciting way.